All right, you all. Thank you for joining us today. We have Brenna here, and we have Mrs. Storm in the building today that she's going to be joining us. And I wanted to continue this topic of mental illness today because nowadays people are becoming more and more anxious. And the events that most of us had to endure, the world is becoming a lot more scarier for most people, especially after the pandemic. Um, can it be fixed by just taking pills, or what do you think?
Um,
Go
there's
ahead.
definitely no way that a pill is going to fix a problem. Um, once again, happy to be invited. Little nervous. This is not my thing, but I deal and also deal with people with mental health issues. A pill is not going to solve it. You have to have a good community. You have to have therapy, and you have to have counseling. You have to find out where the bottom of the issue is and continue to grow from there.
I would definitely agree. I think that I think we became more aware of mental illness once the pandemic hit us, and we didn't realize the impact it had, especially with the lack of socialization. If you were normally used to socializing with your friends or going into work and keeping busy that way, your kids were in school, so they were socializing with their friends. I think it had a huge impact on all of us. And then, especially in the Black community, we don't like to talk about mental illness and anxiety and things like that. We're told if you just think it, you can do it, just work your way past it. And that's not the case. I do think that therapy is very, very important. And like Miss Storm said, I do think that it's essential that you get to the root of the problem. You get down to the source of what's causing you anxiety or what might be causing your depression. Now, there is something that's called situational depression and there's situational anxiety. Some people have depression and they're just born that way, and they have depression, for life, and they do need to speak to a counselor, have a therapist. Some do need to go on medication to keep it under control, but that's not the only piece that fixes the problem. When you have situational depression or situational anxiety, it might be a situation like you lost your job. So you're wondering how you're going to make ends meet and take care of your bills and feed your family and things like that. That can stir up some anxiety within you. And if you're submitting job applications and applying for job after job and you're not getting anything, that can cause a little bit of depression because you're wondering, why am I not getting hired? Why am I not getting selected? So there are, I think, different types of mental illness, and I think some are short term, some are long term, some have to deal with them for life, like people that have bipolar disorder, people that are schizophrenic. But of course, I'm not a licensed professional to make that diagnosis. You would have to certainly take it upon yourself to get examined and get diagnosed and go over your symptoms. But I do think that it's manageable, whether it's situational or whether it's lifelong. You just have to have the proper coping skills in order to deal with the depression or anxiety that you're dealing with.
I do believe that big pharma is definitely seeing a profit in this when it comes to anxiety. I mean, there is truly a lot of more people, more unhappy people in this world that has been to the doctor, and the fix is determining they have some type of mental illness, and now, okay, let's prescribe.
And if you don't mind me speaking, that's what I would like to double back on. I'm now 52. I was diagnosed at 19 with what did they say? Something with my brain. I had lack of something in my brain that was not connected. For years and years, you couldn't pay me to take any type of medication. You couldn't pay me to do that. And for
Hmm.
those years, I suffered. I have a chemical imbalance. That's what they said. 19, I'm now 52. Once I did start taking medication as prescribed and getting therapy, you're not just going to give me a pill and that's going to make me better. You have to talk it out. Um, People now come for me with help and assistance, and I have no problem talking it out or whatever. As far as the medication goes, few and far in between, only if needed. But I'm not a medicational type of person. It's
Miss
different
Storm,
things for different people. Yes, ma'am.
Miss Miss Storm, did you feel like the combination of medication and talking, did it help your situation at all? Did you notice an improvement or a
Not
difference?
only helped my situation, it made it to people ask me for help today.
Oh
And
wow.
with my situation, as far as I have, they say bipolar, I know for sure I have depression, anxiety, and PTSD from things I've been through. Bipolar, no, you can't run me that. But the PTSD, anxiety, and yes, that's a total. Um, do I take the medication every day for the anxiety? No, I take it as needed. Do I talk to people? Yeah, I have a couple of places you can call without telling your name, whatever, to be anonymous. You have to have that boost. It's not all about medication. You can't peel somebody down and they're going to live.
I agree with that. And, one of my other really strong holding suits, to this whole mental illness, debate is it seems like children are getting diagnosed younger and younger with certain mental illnesses, whether it be depression, whether it be bipolar disorder, being manic depressive, having depression, having anxiety. And I do see where you're talking about, Udelka, Dominique, where big pharma is pushing, to write the prescription. But I feel like you need to start with therapy first. You need to start with counseling first. You need to get to the root of the issue. And then if it's still not manageable, then we need to revisit some other alternative therapies. I know there's art therapy, there's music therapy, there's horse therapy, there's animal therapy. There's other ways than just swallowing a pill and then thinking that it's all going to go away and make it better. And I certainly, for my children, if they were experiencing some type of mental illness or going through something, I would definitely start with therapy, as I would myself. And speaking to the PTSD is tricky. It's tricky because you think that you're past whatever trauma it is that you went through, but then something can happen and it can trigger your PTSD, and you might not even recognize or realize that you've been triggered by your PTSD. So I find that, that's sometimes difficult to navigate, but once you have therapy and you speak with a counselor and you identify what your trauma was, the root of your trauma, and then you are able to like write down and acknowledge the things that trigger you, then you're able to not put yourself in those types of situations. Or if you find yourself in a situation that's going to be triggering, then you remove yourself from that situation. So mental illness is very much, you have to be involved in the process. You can't just let the process play out for itself, and you can't just let the doctors just tell you what to do. Doctors, yes, they go to medical school, but I'm finding that more and more doctors care less and less. They just want a patient in, they want a patient out. They want to write a prescription, they want to get a kickback from big pharma. They're not as much as invested in your health as you are. So you have to be your own best advocate and stand up for yourself and tell the doctor, no, that's not what's happening here. This is what's happening here. And you have to make them listen to you.
And I
If
totally
you,
agree with
Miss,
that. I mean, I feel like therapy should be, one of the things that people relate to first. Because I feel like just giving me a pill because I'm coming in and telling you, okay, yes, I may have severe anxiety, is definitely like just putting a band-aid on it. But whenever it's
if
triggered
I
or
can,
anything like that, Mm-hmm. Go ahead,
No,
Miss
I don't
Storm.
like to interrupt.
No,
Um,
go ahead.
I'm gonna kind of bring both of you young ladies back, okay? Because
Mm-hmm.
we spoke about children. They don't have a choice, and some of these children's parents, they don't have a choice. So if the parent doesn't know, the kid is not gonna go. No, I had a good friend of mine speak to me yesterday about her 16-year-old son being diagnosed with schizophrenia. Now, my son is now going to be 27. He was diagnosed his senior year of college, Georgia State University, graduated with honors, ambassador in Australia, dual citizenship, whole clothing line, everything. That's when that hit him. He didn't have a choice but to be medicated. There's so many different scenarios that we can discuss. You'll never have enough time. But as far as children go, if you get parents that, and you know, some of these people, they're in poor places, that resources are not there, period. They're not going to know. They're not going to be able to show their kid to know. I
And I
mean, it's going to
understand.
start with action.
And I was going to say, I understand that a lot of the diagnosis for schizophrenia, especially in young males, doesn't usually happen until they're at the age of when your son was diagnosed. It tends to show its symptoms later on in life, when in their late teens or their early 20s, and a
Early.
lot of them have completed college, and they're excellent learners. They're very intelligent. So the illness has nothing to do with their mental capacity in terms of intelligence. I want to make that very clear. Just because you suffer from a mental illness does not mean that you have limited capacity in your intelligence. Now, there's other
And
disorders that are out there, ADHD, ADD, things like that, autism, that may slow down the impact of your child's learning, but it doesn't necessarily diminish their intelligence. I've seen a lot of autistic children that are nonverbal, and they're participating in their different classes and things like that, and have started speaking, have started using words, and have gotten more comfortable with being able to process their feelings. So don't write somebody off just because they have a mental illness, whether you're an adult or whether it's a child. I think that it's definitely something that we need to bring more awareness to. And again, as I said before, especially in the Black community, we need not be afraid to seek out therapy and to seek out counseling, instead of just reaching for medication and saying, "Hey doc, I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling kind of sad. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling that." Another situational depression situation occurs either during pregnancy, you get depressed, or you have postpartum depression. And that's something that's situational. It doesn't last, but it has a lot to do with the different chemicals and the hormones that have gone through your brain. And I feel like with my middle pregnancy, I experienced postpartum depression, but I wasn't really aware of it. And when I kept bringing the symptoms to the attention of my doctor wasn't listening to me. I kept telling him, that I felt sad, and I felt like wasn't a good mom, and I couldn't really take care of the baby. I wasn't sleeping on top of getting up to breastfeed and doing all that stuff. I was just plumb exhausted. And it took a nurse practitioner in the same office to recognize the symptoms. And she was like, "I think you have postpartum depression." And it lasted about 6 or 7 months. And then I was past it, I was over it, it was done. But people have to look at that too. I mean, that's something that's certainly situational, and it's not something that you can control. Nobody wants to be depressed. Nobody wants postpartum. Nobody wants to have any of these, additional things weighing on them. But there are ways to handle it and to deal with it. And I'm glad we're talking about it today.
That with postpartum
um,
depression, like I know, like, well, some people actually let it go on for a longer time. Well, not let it, but can't really control it. I'm gonna say that. And it has affected their life.
Yeah.
Even some people have unalived themselves during this period.
Yes.
I think most people are on edge, just because of what we go through on a daily basis and how everything has been set up. My personal opinion. I posted something on our page that said people are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yes.
People are having a hard time to make ends meet. People are working so hard on a daily basis that is affecting their lives, their children's lives. People are living with uncertainty, and that's hard to process as well when you have so much on your plate. I think nowadays it's very hard not to worry.
I mean, it's definitely hard not to worry. I mean, you apply for these jobs, and these jobs want a bachelor's degree, some want a master's degree, but then they offer you 20, $30 an hour. That's not even going to cover my student loan payment that I had to take out, for my school and my education. And that's
And
very
that education is no longer valued at this time because time has changed.
yeah. Yeah.
And again, ladies, please don't think that I'm interrupting, and I'm not, because I'm listening.
No, you're fine.
Um,
Yeah.
my situation comes from many things. And like I said, I've reached the age of 52 without going through the medications that they say you need, or whatever, whatever, whatever. I therapists call them whenever I need them. My son just getting back on meds after 3 years with schizophrenia. We've dealt with something unimaginable. I will not speak on here. But I had to explain to him as well, because he's way better with that, but you have to get the therapy too. That's a process. So people always ask me, how do you handle it? How do you deal with it? I get up every day and it's day by day. You know, there's always going to be turmoil. There's always going to be something wrong daily. I flip it. What is right in this day? What is going better in this day? A must is you have to, if you don't have a BFF, a best friend that's tight with you, to give you those encouraging words, there are numbers that you can call. There are people that you can talk to that are free resources. If we do not get adults, the parents of these children that's going to grow up with this on board, then we're going to be running in circle. How do we reach people? How do we reach these adults? How do we give people these comfort places? I
And
had
Miss
someone
Storm,
call
I'm
me
glad.
yesterday. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Miss Storm. I'm glad that you asking it. That's a very good question. And let's not forget that social media is here to stay, and our children be on social media most of the time.
Yeah.
That's what I was speaking on the last podcast about mental illness. It's like the kids are being on social media. They're turning into social media for help. They're actually posting stuff of how they feel. They're actually, some kids are posting stuff about unaliving themselves, as long with grown-ups as well.
Right.
And I was speaking about who is there on social media. I mean, because all people would say is like encouraging words and stuff like that, but like,
It's
how are we
one in a
really going to
million.
help the people on social media? Mr. Mike, if you want to join us, you can come up. You could just block the camera. You could just press on the camera and it'll block it. But you can come up. I saw you in here earlier. I
Um,
sent you a
it is
message.
a way for us as teens. I'm just gonna say as females, not
Mm-hmm.
saying anything, but it's a way for us to do what we need to have done. Trust is first and foremost. This is not done to be, acknowledge, boost. This is done for real. Um, I am coping very well. Um, very proud of myself. Accolades, because I've learned
That's so good.
there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong with stepping outside of what I feel and calling and say, "Hey, I need some help. I'm stressed today about this. This is what's worrying
Right,
me.
but it's like most people, they would rather go to social media with it, and I've seen it in the young population than actually come to someone in their family.
Yes.
So there's also so much fear being put into the internet, and our kids are online watching these things, which causes more anxiety for a child at an early age, and then more, mental health issues.
Right, because
Um,
there's ridicule and there's bullying, and you might get a supportive message here or there, but there's not a whole lot of support that goes on if your child turns to social media to vent about what problems they may have or any discussions about unaliving themselves. I just feel like there should be some type of regulation or some type of filtering or something that automatically redirects your child to a toll-free direct number to call someone immediately to speak about what's going on if they can't get to a parent, which they should get to a parent. And of course, you should
And
have that.
in the state of Georgia, if anybody is listening, I have several numbers that can be called. If you're in Georgia,
oh, please give them out.
let me know when you guys are ready.
We're ready.
Okay, first you can dial 211, and then we have Georgia Hope. That's 706 279 0405. We have Premier Trans 678 383 6438. We have um, another hotline 888 945 1414. We also have Highlands Ridge, which is in Cobb, which helps with mental health. 770-514-2422. I have 404-657-2522. A lot of these are will help you with no income, or if you have any source of government resources. I will
I also
go.
have go ahead.
This is just my thing. You gotta help the parents to help the kids,
Right, and I was going to say that
and
I
some
have
of the
another
parents need help themselves.
a resource for the parents, and it's a website. It's called lifestance.org. LIFESTANCE.org. And it's a site, and it asks you where you live. It asks you what's going on, like what do you need assistance with, and it will assist you with getting the right therapist or counselor or doctor that you need to speak with. And they're also available 24/7. If you go to their website, they have a 24/7 emergency hotline number. They will send someone to your home in the event that you're having a real mental
Any type
emergency
of mental
with yourself.
crisis.
Yes, with yourself or with your child.
I'm so I have
Mm.
so many people on speed dial. Again, this is my life to give back and to help, because for so many years I didn't see anything other than a minute before me. And because I've lived through it and I've been through it, and my son ending up in this position that I could have never thought about, um, I'm dedicated to helping people get better.
That's
And
wonderful.
that's so good.
Yeah.
And I want to welcome Four Kings Podcast Entertainment in the building today.
Hey
Go
guys.
ahead and introduce yourselves.
What's going on? This is it's the only life I know, aka Mikey Mike, because I'm always in everybody's mouth like Mike and Ike's.
How you doing? I'm the Bad Hat Daddy, Mr. Salt and Pepper Poppy, Mr. Cagney McFleur. How you doing?
We're
And I will
doing good.
introduce
Thank you for joining us.
myself. I am the big storm, not the little one. You can't see me because I'm not
Ah,
I
to be
like
seen,
that.
only to be heard.
I'm
I
just
hello.
don't need to
I'm
be
I
just
seen.
need
I
I
just
need
need to be heard.
I'm
run it
just
back one more
I'm
time.
just
That was
Brenda.
so good. I need to hear it again.
I'm the big storm, not the little one. I'm not trying to be seen, just trying to be heard.
That's what
I
I'm
like
talking
that. I
about.
like
All
that.
Yeah,
right,
That's
all right.
right.
and
And you've
I'm just Brenna. Hey guys.
How you
Brenda.
doing?
Okay, I'm glad I got to hear you say it because I didn't want to butcher it.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Thanks for getting it right. Yeah,
And I'm
Brenna
Dominique.
or Brenna B.
Got you. I've been watching y'all the whole time, and y'all have uncovered quite a lot. I was ready to jump in. It was kind of like double dutch, where you just kind of, I want to
You
do
got
it.
to find your entry
Yeah.
somewhere.
So I was like, I'll wait till we got everything settled, and then I can jump in. I know you all hit a lot about mental health. Two key points that really resonated with me was that the fact that she said, and I'm talking about Big Storm, that she said a lot of parents have mental health issues, or they have limited resources to be able to address mental health. And so what happens is that there's a shortfall or a pitfall on the child. If you don't have the adequate resources, you don't know who to turn to, and especially within our community, we often get stagnated and truncated because we only are limited to what we've already been exposed to or what we already know. And so a lot of us have shied away so long from a therapist, a counselor. Everybody always says, well, go pray to God,
Absolutely.
and as a man, it's even rougher for us because they be like, don't talk about your feelings, go out there and talk to that tree. So, I mean, we've had it the roughest. But I would say here more recently, I would say probably within the last 5-10 years, there's been more of an effort to be able to bridge that gap between males and mental health, because it's more or less like we recognize that no, that kid that was eating glue in class, it was something really wrong with him. Or the kid that couldn't really control his emotions or her emotions, it was really something truly wrong with them outside of, just, oh, they were a bad person or a bad kid. They really had some deeply rooted trauma, or they were affected in a way that they could not mentally and physically self-control within themselves. I know in my field, I'm a qualified mental health professional, and I see a lot of kids that I deal with on a day-to-day, as far as like just in how I interact with them and what I try to do. I often try to be a little bit more practical in my approach. I'm like Big Storm over here. She was saying that she doesn't really want to push medicine as like the first treatment or I guess measure. She would like to try to explore other things before we put him on medication. And I'm with you, because there's so many different things that you can try before you put them on medication, because once you put them on medication, that's like a definite decision. And then you have to kind of tweak the medication in order to get the right dosage, in order to be able to make sure that that kid or person is properly medicated. So that way they have a bit of a assistance, because the medication is not an end all to be all. It's just another form of assistance. They still have to do the work in order to be able to
For
kind of,
kings.
there you go.
Absolutely. So
For
when I
kings.
said on the last episode that
Um,
some mental illness is because of traumatic events in your life and your environment, this is why, I push self-care, self-love, catering to yourself, practicing meditation, breathing exercises to try to calm yourself down. Um, a lot of people nowadays have like I said, panic attacks, anxiety is an all-time high. um all of these things, and it's just sad that the first thing
I
we
want
want
to
to
jump
do
in.
is big pharma.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys touched
I
on
want
the
to jump
aspect
because
of men from the man's perspective. I think unfortunately for so long, men's feelings and their position in this state was overlooked because you were taught to be a man and to be strong and, oh, you can handle it
That's
and
a good
toughen up
one.
and
Most
all of
definitely.
that. And as a boy mom raising sons, along with their father, we do try to instill in them to express themselves and express their feelings, and we give them outlets in order to do that. We know if something's wrong, if something's going on, we have a conversation with them, we talk to them, but we're not raising them to be stiff as a wall and non-communicative about their feelings if they're going through something. I mean, I can look at my child's face and see if something is upsetting, and it could be something simple that happened at school, but regardless of whatever it was, it upset him, and it made him feel some type of way. He's experienced some bullying, and that was an issue for a big part of the school year because the school wasn't listening, and going and talking to the principal and the teachers and the guidance counselor and all that. It was like, yeah, we hear you. But the message really didn't go, really didn't go heard, which was unfortunate. And I just think that the school system lacks the true support to be able to help these kids navigate through elementary school, then going into middle school, and then going into high school. These are all big changes. Going
Correct.
from going from elementary school to middle school is a big change. I mean, their bodies are changing, their hormones are changing, their routine is changing. They've been in the same place for 6 years, and now they're in this new building with all these different kids from all these different walks of life that they've never been exposed to in these different situations. And I just think that it's unfortunate, and I do see it hitting our boys a little bit more than it's hitting our girls.
And Miss Storm has something to say. Go ahead, Miss Storm.
Whew. I'm gonna bring it down because I'm not in tears. I'm so impressed that these young men are here because I need you and my son needs you. And I'm gonna tell a story. And I know what this is for, but this is for this. My baby accolades everything, highest scores on everything. Youngest son, captain of the foot, had it. Junior going into senior year of college, diagnosed with schizophrenia. When we went to pick him up from school because it was ending, he was catatonic. Therefore, he was rushed to a hospital downtown in Atlanta. I live in Smyrna. That's when I found schizophrenia. He was nonverbal. He did not speak. He didn't whatever. Getting him on the medication helped after a while. My oldest son was shot January 12th, 2020. That put him all the way back. Now, mind you, this was a young man that's a certified tax preparer. Everything you could imagine as having as a son. And he went off meds 3 years. I got him back on November. We're learning again. I'm trying to teach him his confidence. Mom, I don't talk to or see any other friends I used to be. I'm alone. I don't have anybody. He's on his medication, but now he feels sheltered and cut off, and he still wants to participate in society. Well, me, on the other hand, I deal with depression, anxiety, PTSD, of course, some being shot, and a lot of other things. I can take my meds, but I reach out, I talk to people. So I'm looking for a male figure for him because I'm not a man. To where he can open up to and what he can do. Um,
I definitely
I've
have some
never been
resources for him.
ashamed of,
So how old is
and
he?
I told him today I was gonna do this. He will be 27 this month.
Oh yeah, perfect. I got something for
He's
him.
a go-getter, always worked, had his own clothing line, dealt with the elite in the city. But now, okay, if now he's back on his meds, but he's like, there's nobody there. Like, he was gone for a while, but he's trying to come. He's back, and you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't. So everybody doesn't do that. You don't have to do that to find a friend.
Right.
So I'm not gonna stop pushing the narrative of getting him better. I have been through trauma after trauma, so I'm quick to call a helpline or my therapist. You know how much therapists cost? They're not free no more.
Nah.
No, I never
And a
free.
lot of them
Food
don't
is
want to
high.
take insurance.
Yeah.
So guess what I do? My thing is to build him I build him. Oh, you look nice today. I'm building him. Going to continue to do that. But I'm not a man with his situation. I'm his mom. So he needs a strong man. He's a strong dude. And you can't find that, you know. Um, Never beggars. Always we good to an extent. I decided to come on here because it's not a one sided two. This shit goes on 50 different shades. It's a lot of different narratives. You can say, okay, well, go meditate or whatever. Poor people don't know about medicating. They barely know how they gonna eat. So you see your son with a
That's so true.
Pushasti mask on at 14, what you gonna do? I mean, there's so many different narratives here. This will take a long time to get to the bottom, but we gotta start somewhere. I got $1, a two, a three. I take my little 350 I got in my savings to get some started to go somewhere. Because my son didn't deserve any, nobody did. But I'm gonna fight until he gets good.
Well, Miss Storm,
My son,
we hearing a lot of what you're saying, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna tell you something that what I hear from what you're saying, right? He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he had a bad blow right after that, you know, by the loss of your other son. So then that immediately triggered him to a whole nother level of depression, and then probably PTSD, and then that in itself is a lot. So, and I want to commend you for everything that
yeah,
you're trying to do in order to be able to put everything in place for him. Um, and
he's
my
finally
co-host,
started back driving.
right?
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry.
I'm the vice president of a male organization called Modern Manhood. We have a community of men that we come together and we fellowship. We have master classes that we do virtual and non-virtual. And basically, I would like to like put him in that group, and then we can figure out, you know, if we can get him like maybe a mentor or somebody who can facilitate some of his needs. This should take a little bit off your plate. I mean, I know you're his mother, and you're always gonna be your baby, but it sounds like he
I
just needs
needed
some
this.
community right now, and
Yeah, I
I'm
did.
willing to help offer that.
Oh, that's
That's
nice.
wonderful.
Um,
That's really
you know
wonderful.
what? And I thank you ain't even enough because uh, he's awesome, and eventually he will be able to speak. You know, he will be able to be comfortable because I
Right.
tell him every day how good he is. And dude, come on, people go through this every day. See, mommy's okay with expressing her, you know, hey, some things are not right every day, but he's growing into that. But I'm just not the one. He needs something besides me. So
Yeah, the community, the fellowship, the mentorship, I think is going to be something that's going to be great for him. Integrating him back into socialization, getting him more comfortable with people, letting him know that his disease does not define him by no
Good
means.
point.
it's not a disease. It's a disease.
Yeah.
It's not a disease. See, I don't like the labels. If that's the case, everybody got a disease. People that want big butts got a disease.
You right
People that
about that.
he's a
That hey.
person and he's his own person. I don't like labels.
So would you feel
I don't
safer
like
with the term
labels.
condition?
Because yes,
Okay. I just again
his
I want to
condition or his
set the
situation.
rules, you know, so
His
that way we know
condition
in our
or
exchange.
situation.
Got you.
Condition or situation.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Condition or situation.
I like
And
that.
these things can get to a point of no return. Like I said, if if you don't take control over it and have any helping hands. I also like to think that we still have people out here that want to help people. This is a great thing. I'm sure you guys are gonna be in touch with Miss Storm to make this happen. And thank you all so much for that.
Modern mandatory
Oh, it's called Modern
modern
Manhood.
manhood.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the
I'm gonna
chat.
do this because I'm so confident. And again, I really don't have no limits when it comes to making my son better, anybody better. Like I said, I also have other people that reach out to me because I've been going through this for so long. I'm going to go ahead and put my telephone number in the chat.
I
And
would
I'm ready.
recommend.
Let's go. And he's
I
ready.
would
He's let's
I
go.
would recommend that you don't do that. Possibly
yeah,
just send it to
don't.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
send it to Miss Dominique, Miss Brenna,
Yeah, and then
and
we'll
then
find you on
and
Facebook and we'll go through it that way. Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be
Yeah.
that way. It's easy to get you into the group.
It's
you know,
safer and
we
it,
want to protect your
Yeah.
confidentiality and
Mhm.
yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, you can send it to me, Miss Storm, and I will definitely make sure that they get it. Just to hit a couple of points here towards the end of the podcast. I don't think the world is, you know, well, not the world. I'm gonna say this. I don't think people have a break so much from what everything that's going on, and it's just like, yes, we have mental illness or mental health issues that it's probably genetic, but we also have a lot of them, again, from our life experiences and what environment that we're in. It's like this agenda has been to make money, and people are stressing, worrying, fearing, worrying about their children, seeing these signs in their children, having to get help. This is deep. And I'm sure it gets much deeper because mental health
Absolutely.
and illness is like, it's a broad topic. And I really wanted to like target something on the last episode and on this episode as well. But it's so hard to do that because it's so many things that go into it.
Right.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nah, I honestly was just gonna jump in there. I think the best story that would summarize, at least from the male perspective, right, the black male experience, would be the story about Khalif Browder. I don't know if you all are familiar with Khalif Browder.
Yes.
Um, young man came up through the foster care system out of New York. Uh, racial profiling got him hemmed up in a situation where he was completely innocent.
Yep.
And his financial upbringing and circumstances are what were his ultimate pitfall, and then the system failing him eventually
Yeah.
because he wasn't convicted of a crime. They literally held him on a crime that he would not admit to doing because he was
Exactly.
innocent.
Exactly. They
And he died in jail.
questioned him.
No, he didn't die in jail. He survived.
Yeah. They
But
questioned him repeatedly, just holding him on no good charge. And yeah, I watched the documentary and read a lot about it, and it really was a total example of system failure.
and so when he got out, after they found out that he didn't do it, I mean, he had spent months in Rikers Island, one of the toughest jails in America.
Right.
Yep.
And suffered so much trauma between the fighting and everything else he had experienced in there. Because I don't care who you are, when you go into a confined facility, no matter what happens within that facility, you're not the same person that you are when you went in. You're not the same person coming out going in.
No.
I agree.
And
And
it's
I
really
agree.
to be in a confined facility that's in your head, which is called schizophrenia. Even though you have the word, you're confined.
And he
Yeah.
actually succumbed to his mental health conditions
Yep.
that he had as a result of those experiences.
Yeah, he was so traumatized. And again, it's a complete example of total system failure. He didn't get the help that he needed. He didn't have what he needed at the time. And it's really a sad story because it was so unnecessary. That was a loss of life that was completely unnecessary, and it should have never happened.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
you guys, I understand that we're talking about things that led us here. If we can find a way I trust all three ladies and the Four Kings podcast. I will start it out, and if somebody can try to start raising money, I will start it out with $20. I don't even get it, but I'll get it, and I trust that so that we could raise money. Let's raise money because we can talk all day, but this is not going to do nothing. Let's see what we can do to raise money for something to help these parents and these kids. Because
Well,
if they see a
Right,
place that they
because
can go, they're
most of
going to
the
come
issue
naked.
is about resources and money.
Right.
If you really, want to get deep down into it, that's why I said it's deeper than just the little surface we're
I'm
hitting
willing
on.
to, yeah, because we can talk till Thursday. I'm willing to start. If somebody could, I'll put my first $20 down. I can send that to Four Kings Podcast Entertainment. We can start some type of, anything to get the word out, to just bring people in. I will continue to put any change I have in. I will even do a rummage because if they see they have somewhere to come, they will come.
I think it would also be extremely helpful if, the word could start to get out to
that part.
health professionals such as yourselves to maybe not focus so much on the healthcare reimbursement, the insurance reimbursement, but maybe a sliding scale, or maybe looking at the severity of the case and maybe waiving, certain fees. And if not, maybe those fees can be made up some other way with donations and whatnot. But we've got to get the therapists and the counselors on board as well to participate and help, because a lot of people don't seek the help because they simply can't afford to.
I
Absolutely.
have
Yeah,
a
And
I think
very
also, a lot of
awesome
more
doctor.
people would like to
I
be
have a
more involved in their children's life as far as if they're going through something. And a lot of people have to work. If they don't work, then they can't provide. And
Right.
most
Yep.
of their times they have to work all day, every day.
Right.
So, what is the help for that?
we can
Where
help.
where
We
is
can
the
help
help
with
for
that.
that?
We can
Well,
help
you know,
with that. I work from home. I know several work from home positions. I can look into that. There's all something that we can do to to start. If we start, somebody's going to join in. If we start, somebody's going to help. That's a given. For me to even do is a big thing because I'm shut in. I'm an introvert. This is not my thing.
And thank you
And
so
for
much for
me
being
to
here.
do
Yes.
this,
We appreciate you
it's
sharing.
all about helping people.
Yeah, we
I never
definitely
want
appreciate you sharing your story.
anybody to go through what I went through as long as I went through and not be able to hit. I can't sit by and just. So if I'll step outside for anything, it'll be for this purpose.
Yeah,
well,
Absolutely.
you have
And
test.
I have two comments that I wanted to read out today. That I did write them down and I wanted to get you all's opinion.
okay.
If everyone needs to be on a psychiatric meds, then is the problem really our brains or the way we live?
I honestly believe and I got to jump in there, jump on this grenade, right? I honestly believe it's a mixture of both
Yes.
because we may,
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
believe everybody has some form of ADHD because at the fundamental basis of what ADHD is that you don't have the ability to focus on whatever's being presented, and if you compound that with the idea of a lot of us don't listen to things if we're not interested, that's ADHD.
Right.
So I mean, there's various levels to it. Now I won't say that everybody's level is as severe, but we all got a touch. They've proven that we've all got a touch.
Yeah, they've said we've all got adult
All
ADHD,
Bingo.
ADD.
So so
You know, when
okay.
you
Let
you
me tell
at
you this.
work and you're trying
My
to make that
Guilty.
granddaughter.
call and you doze, you going
Let
off
me,
into la la land. You don't
right.
remember
my
what they
middle
said.
son.
Okay, well let's
My
touch
middle
on
son
this
has
one.
one daughter. My middle son
Oh,
has one daughter.
oh, I'm sorry.
One
Go
daughter.
ahead.
When I say she was so bad at school and just cutting up to where her mom was like, you know, she gave the number to my son for the schools. Don't call or call her dad. She was just, they wasn't teaching her, you know, you can't put everybody in one class and say everybody learns one thing at the same time. She wasn't
Mm.
being held to what she. So now she goes to a STEM school. It's called Delta Academy. And she has the same teacher for 4 years. So that way you're not shunned. Everybody's not have to learn a different way. Everybody is, yeah, I do a lot to make what's going on with myself and my son different. It's just ain't this phone call. It's like it's my life because the pain that you go through when you can't save a person, the pain that you go through when you can't save yourself is unbearable.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I have a higher power that has blessed me to go through it alone, to learn the ups and downs, the highs and lows, and to have the stability enough, the patience enough to kind of see where I can go and what I can do to help.
Right.
And
That's why
many
I'm
of
here.
this mental things that we deal with are very scary. Um, Let me go to this comment here. People who never had a mental illness have somehow developed severe anxiety and fear. Where are we really headed to?
Mm.
Everybody's headed to a place of no return because you're running in a circle. What I'm going to do for the people, because man, I know my can do to you. I know what I know. I lived it. You can't tell nobody nothing that you ain't
I
lived
think
through.
that just because people haven't gotten a specific diagnosis doesn't necessarily mean that they're not suffering from something. I think when
Exactly.
you're in the process of trying to compartmentalize your fears, your thoughts, your worries, your stresses, and you try to stuff it all into a box, and you keep doing that every time, you get something added on to the pile and something added on to the pile, eventually the dam is going to burst, and
Mhm.
it's all going to come out. And then at that point you should be able to hopefully be in a situation where you can start learning what the root of your issue is. What is it that makes you anxious? What is it that stresses you? What is it that worries you? What can you do to alleviate these things? And
If you
start
don't have
talking to.
nowhere to go to learn that, then it's a moot point. That's why, again, I want to start some type of, like I said, something to at least start it. Like they have the pop up dental places around the city. Let's have a pop up. Hey, do you need to talk?
Well,
It's
I can
it's
speak
it's
for I
ways.
can speak for us. We're in Texas,
Yeah.
so and I
Oh, you
know,
gotta learn.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I know things change from state to state and region to region, and even county to county. So we have a we Texas has put more money into mental health recently, but it's still not enough. So I know we're still at a deficit because we've had a lot of different organizations either close or downsize. So,
Modern
but I
manhood, because I see we're going on to 53 minutes. Before we actually get out of here, can I get a point of contact? Because
Yeah, I'll send my information through, and then
Yes, Miss Storm, they're going to send their information over and I'll give it to you, okay?
Mhm.
Thank you for Keen's Podcast Entertainment for coming in today and giving us your perspective and a male's point of view. That it was very well needed.
It was.
Um,
thank you.
because we always want to know how it is from a male's perspective. So thank you so much for doing that, Miss Storm. Thank you so much for joining us today and telling us your story, and leading us to a path where we may be able to get something out of this today. If anybody is looking and want to help, reach out. listen to the podcast and let us know.
Yeah.
Brenna,
I'm
any
looking
last
to get
words for
something
tonight?
started. Like they have the pop up where you can go for free dental. I'm looking for a pop up where let's talk. I need that to be let's talk.
Well,
And then
if
we
you're looking
have
for something to get
doctors.
started and you're looking for funding, probably the first thing you want to do is looking to get in a grant writer. There's a lot of money that's available through the government for programs and stuff like that, and it's not terribly hard, but it might be a little bit of legwork and a little bit of finance in the beginning. But there's definitely grants for that. So if that's something that you're interested in, the first place that I would start is with a grant writer.
And sometimes we have to
Yeah.
do the lead work, because I mean, it's really hard to get funds out of people. I
Right.
mean, we know a lot of people have money out here, but it's really hard. I don't know if it's really
Man,
hard for them to like let it go a
Right.
little bit.
And to keep it continuously funded, you're gonna need grant money and things like that, and people willing to participate and offer their support and volunteer their time and
Well, I
all that.
know a couple of doctors that can get me started.
That's great.
I just need. Oh, I know people. Again, this was totally off my realm, you guys. Like I say, I pray every day. My people been calling me lately because they know what I've been through. Um, this is not something that I do. So this is not something that I can jump and say, "Hey, I'm gonna do." I'm gonna really need help. But as far as funding, oh, I have lots of funding. I just do not have the. I don't know where to go. I have the idea, but I don't know what how to do.
Well, it sounds like you guys are going to exchange some information and hopefully that'll get you started. We'll continue to spread the word in the group and on the podcast and just remind everybody what an important issue this is, all around, especially in our community. And we need help. We need resources. We need ways for people to get taken care of and not have to suffer. No one should have to suffer in silence, and no one should have to suffer at the behest of not being able to afford medical care. It was great having this conversation with you guys. It was very much needed. Thank you, Miss Storm. Thank you guys. Your
Thank you.
input was very much needed and very much appreciated. Maybe I'll have to shout y'all out next time I'm in Texas, which I've never been to Texas. So
What?
oh man.
What?
I'm
I've
coming to
got some trips
Houston
coming
in
up, but I've never
July.
been to Texas.
Oh, she's
Yeah,
coming to Houston in July.
yeah. My birthday July
Okay.
6th. I live in
Yeah,
Houston, so yeah, turn up.
his birthday
Okay.
is my son's birthday is June 24th, and so we're heading to Houston the second week of July to celebrate it.
Sounds
Okay.
All
sounds
right. Well,
good.
turn up for those Geminis and Cancers about to come up.
Yeah,
Let's
cancers.
do it.
Yeah.
Please,
All
Four
right, you
Kings.
all.
I need that info like ASAP. Can you hurry up and
We'll
send it
get
to
it
me,
to you.
please?
We'll
Thank you.
All
definitely
right.
take care of that.
All right.
All right,
All
you
right, thank
guys.
you, you
It's been
guys.
a
Thank you for
pleasure.
having me
All right, guys.
All
on.
right.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.